All right, so you're back for another round of GCSE English language, huh? Specifically, paper one, that reading section, section A. Well, we're diving deep into that today.
We are. It's all about making those marks work for you this time around. No more leaving points on the table. We've got the examiner tips, tricks, and honestly, a bit of that insider knowledge to help you out.
I like it. Insider knowledge. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, just a quick overview for anyone tuning in for the first time. Section A, it's all about reading a passage you've never seen before, and then you've got those 5 questions to answer.
Right. And Eduqas, they give you a suggested time breakdown, roughly 10 minutes to read, 50 to answer. But we're going to talk strategy today, how to make every minute count.
Efficiency is key, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're under pressure. All right, so let's break it down question by question. Where better to start than question 1? What's the deal with that one?
Question 1. It's your first impression, and it's really about getting those easy marks. It's a listening question, 5 marks. You just need to pick out 5 specific bits of info from the text. They even tell you exactly where to look.
Yeah, the example paper, they say lines 1 to 11, find 5 things about the narrator. But here's the thing that trips people up. How to write the answers.
Ah, yes, the formatting. This is where paying attention to the examiner notes is gold. They actually tell you the best way to structure those answers.
Keep it simple. Seriously. Short sentences and use the pronoun from the question. So if they ask about the husband, every answer starts with he is or the husband has. You get the idea.
And honestly, that's it. No need to overthink it. 5 clear points directly answering the question. Boom, 5 marks.
It's about showing you can find the info, plain and simple. No analysis, no fancy vocab needed here. Just get those points down. Okay, so we've conquered the listing. What about those short answer questions 2, 3, and 4? These are worth a good chunk of marks.
These are where you get to show off a little bit of, that deeper understanding of the text. 5 marks or 10 marks each, depending on the question. So yeah, definitely worth focusing on.
And the examiners, they give some really interesting advice on quotes here. They're not looking for you to analyze one quote in depth. They want to see a range of short quotes, like a little tapestry of evidence.
Exactly. Think breadth over depth. Why do they say that? Because they want to see that you've understood all the different things the writer is doing within those specific lines they give you.
Right. So if they ask, like in the example paper, about impressions of the husband in lines 12 to 21, you wouldn't just grab a few quotes that all say he's angry. You'd want to find different details that show different sides of his character or different techniques the writer's using.
Precisely. And for each quote, you need that inference, that explanation. What does it show? How does it answer the question? That's where those 2 marks per point come in. 1 for the quote, 1 for your understanding.
So, for a 5-mark question, aim for 5 quote inference pairs. 10-mark question, you're looking for 10. Now, that might sound a bit daunting, but these quotes can be short and sweet, even just one word sometimes. The key is that explanation.
Keep those explanations concise, though. Don't get bogged down in huge paragraphs for each point. Remember, time is of the essence.
Right. Bullet points even can be your friend here. Now, I know what some students are thinking. Do I need to know all the fancy literary terms to get those marks?
And you know what? The examiners are pretty clear on that. You don't. It can be helpful, sure, but it's not essential. What matters is showing you understand what the writer is doing and how it links to the question.
You can say, this metaphor creates a sense of,
Yeah.
or just say this comparison shows that. As long as you're explaining the effect, that's what matters. And here's a top tip from me to you. Work through those lines in order as you're finding your quotes. Don't jump around.
It's a really good strategy. It's almost like you're systematically scanning the text, making sure you don't miss any key details.
Exactly. So, question 3 in the example, it asks, how does the writer show the narrator's thoughts and feelings in lines 22 to 43? You read those lines carefully, find a quote that shows her thoughts or feelings, boom, explain what it suggests, then move on to the next bit.
And same with question 4. It asks, how does the writer create drama and tension in lines 44 to 72? Find those moments that stand out. Explain how they create that drama and tension. You don't even have to name the technique.
Sometimes they even give you bullet points in questions 3 and 4, right?
They do, yeah, and those are really helpful. They're basically nudging you in the right direction, highlighting specific things to look out for. Use those bullet points to guide your choices.
So you got your short answers sorted. Now, on to the big one. Question 5, 10 whole marks. This is where you bring it all together.
Question 5 is all about looking at the passage as a whole. They give you a statement, and you need to say how far you agree.
The example paper says, the writer changes our view of Ranjit as the story develops. How far do you agree?
First things first. You've got to state your position. Do you agree? Disagree? Partially agree? Make it clear.
And remember, there's no one right answer. It's all about how well you can justify your view using evidence from the text. And guess what? Those, quote, inference skills are back.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be using those throughout this whole section. This time, though, you're choosing quotes from across the entire passage, the bits that support your argument.
And here's a clever trick. You can actually refer back to points, even quotes, that you've already used in questions 1 to 4. It shows the examiner you're seeing the connections, you understand the passage as a whole.
It ties everything together. Shows you're not just randomly picking things out, that your analysis is consistent. And the examiners really like that. They also say to keep using keywords from the statement throughout your answer.
Keeps you focused, ensures you're actually answering the question. So in that example with Ranjit, keep mentioning him, keep talking about how your view of him changes or doesn't change. Find quotes to support that.
It all comes back to showing you can see the big picture, how different parts of the text work together to create meaning and impact. Okay, so we've covered the individual questions. But before we wrap up, some overall tips for success in Section A.
First and foremost, read those lines for each question carefully before you even think about writing. Like, really carefully. Understand what they're asking, where in the text you need to be looking.
Seriously, misreading the question is a really common mistake. Don't let it happen to you.
And speaking of common mistakes, another one, not answering all the questions. You've got to answer every single one in Section A.
They're all worth marks.
Yeah.
Don't leave any blank.
Absolutely. And a couple of practical things from the instructions. Black ink or black ballpoint pen only, no correction fluid. You'd be surprised how many people forget those basics.
And you'll get a separate answer booklet, a pink one, 16 pages. All your Section A answers go in there. Make sure you're using both sides of the pages, by the way. Don't run out of space.
And presentation matters. The instructions say write the question number clearly in the margin. They even give you boxes for that. And leave a couple of lines between each answer.
It makes the examiner's life easier. And trust me, you want the examiner on your side.
One last thing to really hammer home. Section A is worth 40 marks. 40. That's half of your marks for the whole paper.
A big deal.
So those skills we've been talking about, they're worth their weight in gold. Right, let's do a super quick recap before we let everyone go. Question 1, listing. Find the info, list it clearly, use the pronoun.
Questions 2, 3, and 4. Short answers. Find those quotes, explain them. Don't forget those inferences.
And question 5, you're taking a step back. Looking at the whole passage, how far do you agree with the statement? Support your answer with quotes.
Time management is crucial. Keep your quotes short and to the point. And always make sure those explanations clearly link back to the question.
You've got this. Seriously, you've got this. And remember, these skills, they're not just for GCSEs. They're going to help you with any text you read, in any subject, even in life.
It's all about understanding how language works, how writers use it to create effects, to persuade us, to entertain us, to make us think.
So go into that exam feeling confident, prepared, and ready to show them what you can do.
Best of luck. We know you'll do great.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye for now.